We actually have some people. I didn't think we'd have anybody. And we're live. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hi, Jeff McKinney.
Hey, Jeff McKinney.
All right. We're all
Hello.
set, folks that are watching. I know that's usual. That's unusual for us. Usually it's 15 minutes later before we join and we have no idea what we're doing. But we tried to put on the airs of slight professionalism tonight. That's all about to go out the window as we get started here. So
I've been here for hours.
Right away, they don't have to lie.
You want to tell us to roll, Jeff, or anything?
No, I'll save it.
All right. Here we go, guys.
This is Lars Dahlhaus, and you listen to We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 273 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing Brews Brothers and how Brews Brothers came together with brothers Jeff and Greg Shaffer. So let's circle up in the basement around our Festivus pole at a safe distance and let's get drinking.
I'm all for that.
Oh, goodness, folks. We had a little bit different of an opening because we've got a little bit different of a show, and I am super excited about getting into this tonight. It's going to get a little chaotic, and I think we're all going to be okay with that, but we're going to get right to it and say cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 273 of your favorite award-winning topical beer and wine and education podcast focusing on fun.
Fun.
We like to have it. So make sure you never miss another episode of our brand of drinking fun by visiting welikedrinking.com/subscribe. All right, let's get to this. Let's find out who we got on the show. We've got our usual panel members. We've got our California Sustainable Wine Growing Ambassador and former wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, shalom, everybody.
We have our commercial brewer and snake wrangler, John Ruyak.
Hey, maybe going back to work next week.
Ooh, that's exciting.
That is exciting.
And I'm your host and certified specialist of wine, Jeff Eccles. Now, our guests tonight are preparing for their launch of their new Netflix series, Brews Brothers, on the streaming service starting this Friday, April 10th. Collectively, our guests have worked on shows such as Seinfeld, That 70s Show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Lab Rats, and The League. Now they set their sights on Brews Brothers, where two estranged brothers find themselves running a brewery together. Each one is a beer genius, but they couldn't be more different in their beer-making techniques and personalities. Please help us welcome Greg and Jeff Shaffer. Welcome to the show, fellas.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
So there's been 273 of these, huh?
Yes. And our wives still let that happen, if you can believe that.
And they thought it'd never last.
Yeah, I guess
What a
it's
joy
true.
to be at the last one.
Yeah. I don't know, Greg. I think it's true what they say that you really get the hang of a podcast after about 300 of them.
That's like page 100 in our novel, right? Episode 300.
100 times. That's bad. It feels like it's bad. You can also find more about the series and catch all 8 episodes right now by visiting netflix.com/Brews Brothers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Very excited to get into this. Let's circle up the wagons here. Find out what everybody's drinking. John Ruyak, what you got?
Well, I instead of 4 of them this week, which is a growler, I toned it down a little bit, and I just got a squealer, or it sits 32 ounces of the New Zealand Pale Ale, which even in our limited service of just takeout growlers on Mondays and Fridays, we went through a keg of this since I kegged it last Monday. So we've had 3 serving days and we blew through a keg already. So that's pretty new. Just the growler and the squealer. So
Okay,
yeah, we've been selling a lot of it. It's pretty neat.
That's
And
great.
3 or 4 shift beers a day, Greg, what you drinking tonight?
I am supporting local breweries tonight, and Actually, this place is in Van Nuys, little town in LA, that also where the brewery and the show takes place. It is a English brown ale called Cut and Bracken, McLeod's Brewing Company. Fantastic, and they are doing delivery and pickup, and so I'm happy to support them, and I'm very happy to drink this right now.
That's
So,
awesome. We don't have a whole lot doing the delivery out here, but we have a lot of them doing curbside pickup.
I mean, I think it's through like Grubhub and others, but they're it's pretty active. Yeah.
All right, Solomon.
Yeah. Hey, mine was delivered, and check this out. So Promised Land Brewing in Gilroy has new labels. So specifically for lockdown 2020.
Wow.
But yeah, this is their I was waffling between a couple of them, and being in Gilroy, there's a lot of like very like proud, emotional, like Gilroy strong theme type of beers. But then I said, like, we got some funny guys on the show tonight. So what's the funniest beer I could find? This is the Pineapple Hype Milkshake Double IPA from Promised Land Brewing. So a double IPA with lactose and pineapple added in it. And honestly, it's not as hazy as I'd imagine, but super rich and like some nice acid there. This is yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Did you take your lactate before you opened it up?
I did. I'm gonna have the shits later.
What's the ABV on that one?
9%.
Okay, good. Make sure you finish.
Maybe not later.
All right, let's go with the best Jeff on the show. Jeff Shaffer, what's in your glass?
I am drinking one of my favorite beers. It's from Italy, and it's called wine. And this is a 2013 Tenuta San Guidoberto, which is a wine that's actually not an expensive wine at all. It's one tiny dirt road across from Sassicaia.
Okay.
So right in the Bulgaria. So if Sassicaia, which is obviously very expensive, this is a wine that delivers a large percentage of that taste at a very small percentage of that price.
Nice.
So it's in LA, at least it's easy to find, and it's always a hit.
Nice.
By the way, what's going on right now is pretty much what the brothers in the show are like. It is a show that is only about beer. There's no wine anywhere. And yet the older brother in the show, too, is very much like Jeff. We'll put it that way. Yes.
Let's just say when Greg created the show, and when he came up with this idea, when he talked to me about it, I was very intrigued, and not just because the jackass, arrogant older brother was clearly an homage to me. There were also other reasons, but I cannot remember them now.
No, that's pretty much it. The character, kind of based on him, is he doesn't like wine actually, but he is one of those snobs that basically would be, as soon as something becomes popular, beer, he hates it.
He hates it. Okay.
Oh yeah. So IPAs he thinks are for people who've run out of ideas or never had one to begin with. That's Jeff.
Jeff Shaffer, what's the primary grape in that particular wine that you're drinking?
This should be it's actually, I think it's a blend. It's usually these are usually a little bit of a meritage. I mean, it's a lot of it should be a lot of Sangiovese and some Cab.
And then some other,
and then a few other little things. So I was gonna try and find, but I couldn't dig it out. I was actually gonna get something from Sardinia, which I really love, Dittori.
Okay.
Who makes a great, there's a Canonau, and just they're very interesting wines, very interesting to talk about. A lot of people don't get a chance to have them, but they're fantastic.
Again, if this show were called Wine Brothers, he would be pulling out a beer. Talking about
oh yeah.
Sometimes you got to go against the grain, I mean, that's just how it is.
I will say this. So I know a lot more about wine than I do about beer. Greg knows a ton about beer. And I actually, in doing the show, I learned a lot. And I like Guinness, and I like some of the sort of Belgian, Chimay and those kind of things, but I didn't know that much. But he introduced me to a whole world of quadruples and and some other things that are really good. So I have actually learned.
It's awesome, and that's something that's kind of happened with us over the show, because all the Jeffs on the show apparently came in with more of a wine background than a beer background, and John came in with the big beer background, and we've all kind of had this morphing of where now we want it all, so it hasn't been good for our livers by any stretch of the imagination. But we've learned a whole lot more, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So, we'll just keep doing it.
It seems like you guys have had in your lifetime now 273 beers.
At least.
Just about.
Right.
No, there was one time where I didn't have a beer or something like
Got
that.
it.
Wow. It was a glass of wine. Yeah.
I am doing the same. I am going with the local drinks here. I'm going with Brass Brewing again. I went with them last week. Tonight it is the Full Battle Rattle Tangerine Pale Ale. So it comes in about 5.7%. Very tangerine-y, if you can believe that. I was shocked that it has so much tangerine notes to it, but it's a very tasty treat that I'm sipping on tonight. All right, we got the drinks out of the way. Now we're ready to start killing some brain cells, but we got to fire them up first with a little bit we like to call
Wine, beer, spirit, or pop culture reference. This is everybody's favorite segment where I am going to give a term and our panelists have to tell us, is this a wine term, a beer term, a spirit term, or could you believe it, a pop culture reference? Those of you watching live right now at welikedrinking.com/show, like you are doing usually on Wednesday nights, we're doing it on Tuesday. Please leave your comment and let us know. This week's term is mention Funhouse and Fuselier. Is mention Funhouse and Fuselier a wine term, a beer term, a spirit term, or some sort of pop culture reference? Ruyak has a question, and I'm not sure if I can answer it, but I'll try.
Solomon,
Yes?
can you spell that for us, please?
It's kind of a transliteration, but here I go. MENCHENFUNHOUSENFIESLER, I think. Mention Funhouse and Fuselier.
all right.
Perfect pronunciation.
I think I can take this one, unless you guys want to try.
Why? I want Eccles and Ruyak to sweat
Please.
a little bit.
Oh, no. Yes, let's see. All right, Echo.
Go for it, Jeffy.
Mention Funhouse and Loser.
Mention Funhouse and Fuselier.
Fuselier.
Fusilia.
Well, I'm gonna say that this is a pop culture reference. I don't think this is a beer term, so I'm gonna say this is a pop culture reference. And this is a lot of kids when they go to carnivals, they go to the fun house and it's really not that much fun. They don't enjoy themselves. So this is the machine that pumps nitrous oxide into the fun house. It infuses it with the kids' brains to make them seem like they're having a lot of fun in the rickety, old, decaying fun house.
Normally I don't say this, but yeah, that's it. If you'd have switched it with vape juice, I think that would have been more on point. Vape juice. I'm gonna go with John Ruyak. What do you think?
Well,
Mention Funhouse and Fuselier.
since Eccles already stole my answer,
It's amazing that that's all what we wanted to say.
so I got nothing. It's just like this is embarrassing. I got nothing.
Come on, beer
Funhouse
guy.
and
What do you
Fuselier.
think?
I mean, it's about, I don't know, infusing fun into a mensch.
Just a really nice guy.
I mean, it's some sort of it's a combination beer and pop culture reference. It's a pop culture reference about a beer. I don't know, maybe a hop back in some sort of craft German brewery.
Okay, I'm gonna I'm just gonna let the Shaffer brothers like fight over this one. What do you guys think?
I believe this is, you're not wrong when you say it's a beer and pop culture reference. I believe it's a transliteration of German for beer drinking human centipede.
That's what I was gonna say. You know, the more I dug into it, my feeling, and you know, it's open to interpretation, obviously. My feeling is, you know, as we read it, it's an airplane funhouse for the people, is what I came up with. But yeah, it's that thing where you hang yourself from the ceiling and try to drink beer from both ends, right?
You know, it's funny you say that. There's this really funny actor, Flula Borg, on the show who is German, and he may or may not mention something about a beer drinking human centipede, and it does sound exactly like this. However, if you said anything else in German, I would also think that sounded exactly like it. So I'm going to go with it involves beer, wine, and spirits, but it's the long troughs you see at for the bathrooms in like the big mess halls and like the Oktoberfest things. That's just that word just, I mean, it's got to be it. If it's not, they should change it.
It screams of beer, stainless steel, and urinal cakes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a heady brew.
Moss, yeah.
And I guess what I'll say is this week, if you want to know the answer, how about you go look at the trailer for Brews Brothers on Netflix and find out for yourself. Mention
Nice.
Funhouse and Fusilier.
So Jeff, I'm just curious, how many times on playing it did you have to keep backing it up until you got the pronunciation down?
You know what I tried to do was the YouTube translate, but it was it was really messed up. So you know, it didn't work. The robots got it all wrong.
Okay.
By the way, you know, so Netflix is shown in every country in the world, and for all of Flula's improvs and lines in German, they had to call him and go, "What did you say?" We need to know what you actually said, because everyone was having a good time.
Yeah. And
But
the funniest part about that is he didn't realize that. So then he had to translate it. And then he's like, wow, for whatever reason, when I swear, I'm really into saying testicles. 5 different scenes from, 6 different episodes, whatever. He's there was a common theme. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mention Post and Fun has testicle in there too.
Did he just have to translate it once, or did a bunch of people call him to translate it and he just gave them all different things? And so if you watch it in any language, who knows what it's actually saying?
By the way, I don't know whatever he said to Netflix legal, they just went, okay.
All right. Guys. So let's get into this. So let's get started. So Jeff Shaffer, I have so many Jeffs tonight. Brews Brothers, 2 brothers.
3-dimensional Jeffs.
What's that?
3-dimensional Jeffs. We got a Y-axis, an X-axis, and a Z-axis with Jeffs.
It's all falling apart.
Yeah, we're in your living room.
For all you Jeff physicists out there.
One day we'll have 5 on the show, and it's all gonna be
My head will explode.
So Jeff, Brews Brothers, 2 brothers open a craft brewery, and as the trailer says, let the fuckery commence. Now, that's pretty much all I need to know about the show, but what else can you tell us about the show, and what can we expect on this beer-soaked journey? So
when Greg sort of started talking about the show, I thought, oh, this is really the next logical progression from the league for me, because first of all, what's more popular than football? Beer. And he just started describing these really fun situations and characters. And also the craft brewery movement, could be taken down a peg or two. I mean, everyone and their dumb uncle is talking about what's hoppy and what's not, and what's hazy and what's not. So it felt like a very ripe area. And the other thing was that it was a chance to do a show like The League where we find a whole bunch of the next generation of great comedic improv actors and let them just go. And so what you'll see, if you like this show is, I think, exactly what we need right now, which is a nice dose of good, clean, filthy fun.
Yes.
I can see that. You know, I was thinking about in terms of like origins of the show. I was thinking about, I don't know if you guys know this, we're a very important podcast. And in terms of all the beer makers that we've had on the show, there seems to be like some commonality in terms of their origin story. It's all like, yeah, you know, it was a late night of drinking with some friends. And one of them said, you know what, we should start a brewery. And then we did start a brewery. And Greg, I was just kind of wondering, like, when it comes to making a show with your brother about two brothers starting a brewery, do we have a similar origin story here?
You know, it's funny you say that. We, besides it being loosely semi-autobiographical outside of the beer in the brothers' relationship, there really was. I was kind of inspired by this local brewery in McLeod's, which is in Van Nuys, and it just so happens to be next to like an auto body shop, and you know, there may be an adult strip club around the corner in that area too, and besides the brewery itself basically being like every bar now, I mean, and ripe for comedy, I just realized, oh my God, I mean, this is perfect. This is perfect. So we kind of took the location itself and may have changed it a bit in the show. And the brewery now in the show is next to a erotic dispensary, you know, basically a little more upscale place.
The MedMen of sex toys.
Yes, exactly. And
That explains the scene from the trailer.
I used to play hockey with the Albuquerque version of that dude.
that is scary.
But it's Van Nuys, strip clubs, auto body shops, porn. It's an awful location for a brewery,
Or any business.
Any business that's not those three things, and yet it's doing great. And so this scrappy little brewery was the inspiration for the show. And then the other thing is, and look, obviously this is a podcast that's built for the beer drinker and the beer connoisseur. But even if you don't like beer, you have a family, and you've got a family that you didn't get to pick, right? They just follow you around like a bad credit score. That's the people you're stuck with. So we thought, and the characters he created, which were, both of them are Braumeisters, right? They're both beer geniuses, and they're both just
horrible to everything else.
Yeah, very incomplete human beings. And so you'd think, oh, you're like, so Wilhelm wants this brewery to be the perfect hang, and Adam doesn't care about anybody else and just wants to make the perfect beer. You'd think together they would make one complete, very highly functioning human, and yet that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, if they could actually get out of their own way, they'd have an amazing brewery. But that's why you're kind of just rooting for them, yet at the same time, just shaking your heads at the idiocy.
You know what it's like? It's like Silicon Valley if they were making beer and had 100 less IQ points.
I mean, look, I'm in the industry. There's a lot of dysfunction there. And there's a lot of that, you know, let's start a brewery. And it's one of those things, you know, that you can do because, you know, if there's a market, you can do it and you can fail your way into success. But as interested in, you know, you said you have these improvisational actors, and I'm excited to watch the show outside of the trailers because, I mean, the brewing industry and the restaurant, you know, the food truck outside that we saw in the trailer. I mean, it's so ripe with double entendre. It's stupid.
Yes.
You can't actually say anything that doesn't have another meaning somewhere else. It's insane.
And then add a little alcohol to the mix, and
yeah. But I did want to throw a couple terms at you guys and see if it raises any memories. What if I threw out the term pepperoni bread?
Ooh, no.
Or Alberinis.
Oh, wow. Alberinis.
Yeah.
So wow, you did your research.
My parents used to live in Warren, Ohio.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
My dad worked for Copperweld, and they lived right on the Trumbull
Whoa,
Golf
That's
Course.
crazy.
Wow.
Okay. So first you were saying pepperoni, but I was thinking like, what kind of beer term is that? I don't know that term.
We did have a pizza beer guy on the show one time. It didn't go so well, but
Oh no, Alberini's. That's crazy. So we are
Alberini's
taking
422.
we are taking
Yeah.
deep cuts. We are taking deep cuts of the Youngstown, Warren, Niles area in
Yep.
northeastern Ohio. That's amazing. That's crazy.
That is amazing.
The Alberinis came to my wedding,
Oh my goodness.
and it was the only time that they were both out of town at the same time in the entire time they ran the restaurant.
Wow.
That is
Wow.
great pizza.
Yeah.
Wow.
And their
Yeah.
red sauce, holy
Oh,
crap.
yeah.
Wow. All right.
This
That-
is we
that
should.
took me
This,
out.
I think we just had a sidebar podcast.
So then okay, what Rodman's beer would you pair with that pizza?
Pizza, pepperoni,
wow.
bread.
Yeah,
Or,
it's
Alberini's
hard.
pizza.
So yeah, the brewery, the younger brother, me in the show, spent some time in Europe learning his craft, basically by going to a lot of beer halls and drinking his way through Europe. But he ended up living with some Trappist monks in Belgium. So there is a strong kind of German and Belgian theme to the brew making and everything else. So, I mean, I would probably that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm trying to pair Alberini's with beer right now, and it's
There's always this one.
stop.
Yeah.
No, a little farmhouse saison, like something
go.
that's yeah.
Okay.
Saison du Pont.
Saison. Okay,
Saison
so
Dupont.
By the
This-
way, I think Greg brings. So one thing. Sorry, Greg brings up a good point. I mean, we sent our cast went to beer making school.
did they really?
We got to shoot in a real brewery. So here's the thing. We wanted it to look real. Netflix was super supportive in this. Hey, this should feel like a real brewery. We mentioned other real local brewers. And so, but our actors have never been in, they've never had the luxury of getting to run a brewery. They were certainly well-versed in the consumption side, but not the production side. So fine. So we shot in this place that was a brewery that had just closed down, but they'd left everything.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
it's called Iron Triangle, actually, and fantastic. The brewery. Yeah, it turns out that they were also the owners. I think were in the pot industry as well, and the margins were better.
A little bit.
Just a little bit,
bit.
but just a beautiful, beautiful space. And we were able to actually, and we had people from the brewery helping us out, and we were actually able to make beer. So even some of the transition shots between scenes, you'll see real beer making going on. And back to what Jeff was saying about beer school, we really went through everything about what, learning, even how to clean the beer taps and how to pour the right beer into the right glass. So so they don't have to think about it when they're actually saying their lines. It was really great.
That's cool as shit.
You know what else is cool? Can I just say, I'm just thinking about it. Like, how fun is your job? Like, I'm going down the list for both of you of like all these just iconic shows. That 70s show, Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Mad About You. I'm thinking about Euro Trip, one of my favorite movies. And then I'm just thinking about, here's these two brothers. And as I did all the research. I read the Wikipedia page from the top to the middle. And I didn't see a point in which the two of you had worked on something, at least something big together. Am I wrong in that? And I guess what I would say is this, or ask, is this your first time working together on a big project like this? And what's that like?
Big successful project. Yeah, we've done some movies, like rewrites and things together. But this would certainly be the first time that we kind of, all right, it's coming together.
What was interesting was, so you act a certain way around people and you act a different way around your family. Like, you just can't help it. So, but now you're acting with your the way you are around your family may be your real self. Who knows? But so now you're your real self around other people, which is problematic. So anyway, we would, Greg and I, when you're making a show, there's always arguments and discussions. And so we would get into these arguments and discussions and start acting like two brothers. And, we'd be sort of having these pissy little fights. And then we'd see the two actors playing the brothers watching us going like, oh, I see. It's like, no, you don't need to look at this. Get away. This isn't research. Fuck off.
Meanwhile, like Jeff's directed the first couple episodes, and some of the directors that were doing ones later in the season just came by to shadow and see what was going on, and we'd be in the middle of a take, and I'm sitting right behind Jeff, and I'm going like this, like no, he needs to do that, and then like the other director's like, are you going to do that to me? I hopefully just hit my brother without thinking about it. But, yeah.
So when I was in college, it was a group of friends, and I lived on the East Coast at the time, and my buddy went to Lehigh University. And big party school, closed campus, drove around. You could go to any fraternity you wanted on a Saturday night and drink for free. But, you drive around campus before the parties and stuff like that, and you're just jabbing away, right? You're just jabbing away, and you're laughing your ass off the whole time. And we're like, we should make a movie about this. And you guys did that.
Well, see, usually, by the way, and this has been from Seinfeld on, everyone goes like, oh my God, you got to do a show about where my friends at this bakery, they're so crazy. And I'm like, you didn't tell me an idea. You told me where you worked.
Yeah. You told me where you worked. Right.
I get it.
It's a start. It's a setting.
Right. But the spirit that you're talking about is exactly what we're trying to capture. It's super fun to be there. It's a virtual, and now since no one can actually go to a brewery,
right,
or be with their friends, it's the virtual experience of going to a bar, which is poorly run, and they may slip hallucinogens in your drink, and they may accidentally pee in your beer, and they may do 1,000 terrible wrong things, but it's still a ton of fun to be there.
Yeah. We may have, we never thought, we wanted people to be jealous of like some of the beer making process, almost, like it's a chef's table type thing. And you're seeing these beautiful glasses of beer being poured. We didn't think people would be jealous of actually going out.
Right. So you guys have kind of touched on it a little bit, I guess, Greg, but how much of the two of you comes off in these brothers?
Okay. Well, let's just say there are a couple of fraternal flashbacks.
Okay.
That you could say are things that are helping me work through some things. For example,
I think I can take this. So in the show, we see a flashback to them at 10 and 8 or something, and Adam, the older one, when they were they lived together. They grew up in Yakima Valley,
where hops are from. Yeah,
where 80% of hops are from. Anyway, as they were there at night, Adam would creep down his bunk bed, go to Will's bed, slowly pull the covers over, and then pee into his bed while Will was asleep, pull the covers back, and go back up. So Will thought he was an 8-year-old bedwetter for like a while. And this has its roots in the truth.
Yeah, this is one of those stories that I think I've probably pitched in a writer's room on various shows, and here it just kind of it was natural.
Well, on the other shows, they all said, "Oh, that's too mean."
Right.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen.
No one would actually do that.
I genuinely thought I was an 8-year-old bedwetter.
Was that literally the catalyst for the show? You were in a writer's room somewhere and you pitched it for like the 50th time, and they're like, "No, that's just mean." You stood up and you flipped the table over and you said, "Fuck you! I'm going to go write my own show, and I'm going to make sure this is in it."
You got it. That's how it works.
Yeah, it can't be too mean if it happened to me. That's what Greg was saying.
One single tear streaming down his
yes.
eye.
So yeah, the show's basically just one big therapy session for me.
Okay, perfect. Jeff, another question?
No, I think that.
No, not you, Jeff.
Oh,
There's
sorry.
damn Jeff.
Wait, am
I
I?
like to talk.
Guys,
Okay.
this is number 274 for me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jeff's drinking the strong red beer. So
Okay, for the rest of the show, Solomon is Solomon. Jeff is Jeff Shaffer. I am Eccles, so that there's only one Jeff now. So Solomon, do you have another question for our guests?
Why do I have to change my name? Okay. So oh wow. Okay. I found myself when I was originally like trying to search up stuff for your show. I kept taking like the S off and calling it Brew Brothers, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I was listening to Jeff. I was listening to an interview of you on the Rich Eisen show. And by the way, I'm waiting for my self-heating coffee mug. I'm sure that's in the mail.
Yep.
So I found myself being like, Rich Eisen is mispronouncing the name of the show. He's calling it Brews Brothers. It's obviously Brew Brothers. And I found myself thinking about there's this really shitty brew pub in Reno, Nevada called Brew Brothers. And I was like, were they trying to get this one? I mean, it
was Blues Brothers. It's Blues Brothers with beer.
Yeah.
It was basically the best. That was more of the genesis of it.
Right.
I was almost thinking it was like a spite brewery, but I guess not.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Everything's a spite something. I mean,
yeah. It's a spite brewery if all the other breweries are very quality breweries.
yes. We'll show you. We're going to be that bad.
But by the way, I think you will see this, and I think Greg sort of hit on this, but it bears repeating, especially in this forum, that it really is about the daily life of a brewery. Like the stories are, hey, we're going to bottle our first beer. No, we're going to can it.
Is it a beer or is it a canning? You know, I mean, we try to do a couple of real things, similar to what Jeff was doing in the league with, you know, that yes, that is the background of it. And then, you know, fun shit happens.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I fell in love with the league when it came out. What you guys don't know is I'm the 3-time champion of this our podcast fantasy football league. But one of the things that I love,
that is nowhere near even true.
One of the things that I loved, I'm just trying to get
he's just
Cody
rolling you
Fuller
over
in the notes to like flip out. But one of the things I loved about the league was, as funny as it was, where it was like, it was very true to exactly what was happening there. And I'm wondering whether or not you've been able to get a lot of feedback from the brewing community in terms of like, not only is it funny, but they're getting it right. Like, I guess that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we've shown it around a little bit and we had a lot of help. I will say, like, yes, we're all good on the consumption side, but we needed some help on the brewing side, and we tried our hardest to make. Being in a brewery helped tremendously, but also just the authenticity of like being. We're on location a couple times, and we go to Angel City Brewery in downtown LA, and Netflix is so great; they don't care that we're talking about how Sam Adams bought them out, and we're shitting on that. And, you know, like it's okay to be to make every single thing real. Or we do. There's an LA beer festival in one of the episodes, and all the tents are. Hey, we just invited any breweries that wanted to come down, and they just set up their tents like they're at a normal festival. And everything about it really felt authentic. So
well, and I think like it's been shown. I think some of the guys from Sam Adams actually saw the show and couldn't believe that someone had actually done a show about like brewing, and they said, "Oh, you guys got it right." And there are things, you know, it's an example of like, you know, you talking about quadruples and arguing about how we're going to talk about bottling or canning, and we're going to can the quadruple. And it's like it's going to explode the can. You're right. You know, quads are useless that way. They're just useless. And what happens if a guy in a wheelchair overhears that? Like, we're not talking about that. You know what I mean? So it's like these are real discussions that a brewer may have that the outside world is not going to know what's going on at all.
Especially a brewer with Jeff's personality.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there an episode where they brew something and it turns into something else, and then they have to come up with a different name for it?
Let's just say, watch
the pilot into the second episode. There may be there's a little bit of a problem there.
There's some mystery ingredients due to some brotherly spite.
That may have to be The second episode is called "Recreate the Opus." So yeah, there's some work that has to be done because of a special ingredient that may have been put in.
It's
Somebody
not
may
just,
say, "I love it."
yes, exactly. It's not just beer. But every Greg was really good about like every episode really deals with a real problem that a fleggling brewery would have from frankly getting customers to getting
there's a thing in LA called the LA Drunk Bus. We call it the LA Drunk Bus. It's actually the LA beer hop bus that is that goes around to the different breweries, and like if you could just get on that, it's an instant amount of you get 24 to 30 people in a couple times a day, and just like that you're going to move right up on the Untapped app. We talked about Untapped, and there's definitely some realness to it.
That's great. And you Jeff, you kind of mentioned in the beginning, this is almost like a continuation of the league or like a sequel to the league. And I was talking to a friend of mine this week about having you guys on the show, and that you had worked with the league previously. He's like, you know what? I hate football. Like, I can't stand anything about football. I hate fantasy football, but I fucking loved the league. And it sounds like that's what's coming through here is you don't have to necessarily be a beer fan to enjoy this show, because it's all the other things that are happening in life around a brewery, right?
For sure. It's all of this stuff is rooted in the truth, but the stories are really funny. And I think you will find far less people saying, I hate beer,
right,
than you will saying, I hate fantasy football.
Agreed.
You'd be surprised. We did have a guest one time that said, it all tastes like shit to me. It's all
By the way, there are some, it just tastes like, oh, I've just drank a fart. That's
yeah.
But I have learned there's some great ones. Greg's introduced some great beers.
Yeah. Funny, the character based on Jeff thinks that beer has four ingredients. Wine's just grapes. Like for him, wine is shit. Like wine's easy. Anyone can do that.
Yeah, that's what Josh says all the time.
Oh, by the way, I should mention. So yeah, Adam, the sort of snob of this is a Cicerone.
Oh,
we deal with also. He is a Cicerone. Everyone makes fun of him for it. He is very proud of it. So that also weaves through the entire thing too. So there's a lot of real stuff embedded in this show.
So, and the two brothers are Adam and Wilhelm?
His name is Will, but he had it legally changed to Wilhelm in honor of the Bavarian Duke responsible for the Reinheitsgebot, which is the German purity law of 1516, as opposed to the German purity law more recently of 1934. So so he is all in on German culture and Belgium culture, and we have another fun kind of historical thing going on there, where because he spent a lot of time with monks in Belgium, with the Trappist monks, that he has a passion and love for the German-speaking people of Belgium, which, believe it or not, they're a minority. They're only like 1%, and this is actually it is true. They are a minority there, and they feel that. We took it. We may have heightened it a little bit in here that he basically wants to free East Belgium from the rest of Belgium, the German-speaking people. It's kind of a running joke.
That one town.
Did Wilhelm happen to take a strange erotic journey from Milan to Minsk as part of his show?
Oh no! I'll tell you what he did do though. He spent so much time with these monks, and he's always speaking so highly about these monks. And we're going to meet these monks, as you can see from the trailer. And basically what monks are, it's like, imagine if you stuck a whole bunch of fraternity guys in a big house and took women off the table. Like, what ping monsters they would be. Like, they're not even trying to impress anybody. So they're just the worst, just the rowdiest, they're awful. And they stick around for a little bit too.
Excellent.
We may lose the actual monk crowd.
Yeah. That may be a pretty sizable
our Shaolin demographic is just falling through the floor.
I'm not sure, Greg. I'm not sure the monks have remotes. As we say, it's like one of them literally says, like, hey, can you call your monk friends? And he goes, I don't have a phone. I don't even have pockets. My belt is a rope.
You're making me break my vow of silence.
There are other valves that are broken.
John, any other questions?
For me, even though I live in Netflix land of Albuquerque, I don't really know a lot of what these terms mean. So what is a showrunner? What does the showrunner do?
That is a fair question. So the showrunner is basically here. I created the show and I'm kind of the head writer, basically. So
okay,
whether I'm writing the script, the actual script itself, or working with some other writers that write scripts, and then I may rewrite them, or we'll rewrite them together, and then bring that idea to actually shoot, and then talk it over with the director. And so that is, I guess, the definition of the showrunner. And then normally the showrunner, executive producer, writer in TV, it's very much a writer-friendly business, and you kind of have your vision and talk it over with the director, and then you shoot. Things are a little different here too when Jeff is directing, because he's my brother. And but no, we had a lot of fun together.
Yeah, the showrunner does everything from cast it. It's in charge of everything. It's casting, writing,
kind of the CEO, yeah.
Production, editing, just getting the whole show made. That's the job of the showrunner.
Okay. So what the fuck do you do, Jeff? What makes you so important?
I just came and directed a few. This is my side hustle.
So you mentioned that you brought in a lot of improv people into the show. Like how much free reign do you give them with the scripts that you give them?
That's a great question. Sometimes I've worked with a lot of improv actors before, but usually on a show you do what's written in the script, and then once you feel you've got a couple of takes from that, you let the actors kind of loosen up a little bit and let them riff a little. Jeff, I'll say from the league and from Curb and other things, he has a little different approach that I think worked really well with these actors too, where we just wanted to find funny, value-added actors from the beginning. And if they're funny, yes, we care about the script, but we don't care about the exact words. Whatever, if they can get the gist of it, and if there's something we really need because it's something that's called back in a later episode, well, man, they can say it. But besides that, just fucking go. So it's there is definitely a script, but it is purely the jumping off point.
And, the script, the jokes in the script are some of the jokes.
Yeah.
But then on the day when we're shooting, we're going to shoot a ton more jokes.
Okay.
Then we're going to figure it out in editing. What's the best
Yeah.
thing? And so you basically write it 3 times. You write it once before you shoot. You write it once on the day of the shoot, and then you write it the final time in the edit room.
Okay.
So with this group of improv actors, I've always gotten a sense that a lot of times you have folks that had been working together for years before they end up on a set of something that the general public might know of. Like, are a lot of these actors, have they been working with each other for a long time, or are they all?
No, yeah, they had not worked together, but you definitely caught something though. When we did final auditions and stuff, we really wanted these actors to be together. So we did not cast it until, especially with the brothers, because they're basically in everything together. We wanted to see them. So we were mixing and matching a ton at the end for auditions, because that's the show. You want the 2 actors together to be so comfortable that they can interrupt each other, hit each other like brothers, do whatever it takes basically to you need it for improv, no question.
That's all. And I'm curious, because this is the first time you both worked with Netflix, right?
Yep.
So how much of a shift was it filming all the episodes before release, as opposed to like being able to get some feedback as you work through a season?
Well, by the way, sometimes even in the non-Netflix schedule, you've shot a whole season before it aired. It depends on when your air date is. Like Curb, we shot, we were done basically in September and we held it till January.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes you have the luxury. And by the way, it's not that much of a luxury, because usually what that means is you are living hand to mouth. Like you're shooting a show and you got to get another one out. So
right.
This is the luxury of being able to write, then shoot, then edit.
Yeah.
But we've never, neither of us have ever done anything where the distribution side is, here it all is. That'll be a new experience. I do think this show is super binge worthy. Like, you watch the first one, it rams right into the second one. As one of these marketing people, this was a phrase, it's the worst phrase I'd ever heard. I'm just going to use it. It was like, because they were looking for moments for promotion, and they just said, we just want some snackable moments. No, there will be no snackable moments. Don't say snackable moments.
I think that's where Mention Funhouse and Fieseler comes into play, right?
That is a snackable moment. Yes, that is a snackable moment.
But no, these are ready to go.
Yeah, they're ready to go. But you also, you just end up doing a lot of cross-boarding too. So you shoot some from different episodes at the same time. Like, oh, we're not going to be back at this location, so let's do every scene from episode 2, 4, and 6 right here, and
okay,
get it done.
Oh wow,
yeah.
That's impressive. Jeff Solomon, anything else?
Okay, I know. Jeff just opined earlier about everybody's got an idea for him, but I feel it's only right, because every guest on the show, I tell them how to run their business. So here we go. All right, here's the pitch. There's 3 beer and wine geeks from different parts of the country that met online, and they started a podcast, and they became best friends with each other. And then they decide to take it to the next level. They don't have a whole lot of money. They pitch in all their money together, and they buy this mansion/studio in Boise, Idaho, and everything's going great for about a week. They move their entire families into this one place. And then there's this global pandemic, and they can't leave the house, and they run out of beer, and they find out that they hate each other, and they're stuck.
This is a dream you had?
It's a fever dream.
These are just yeah.
Just everybody get in a van, start solving crimes like Scooby-Doo. That way. Give me a twist.
I don't buy this whole pandemic thing. It just feels too far-fetched.
I'll tell you that, yeah, because obviously it'll just go away by spring. So,
no.
John, anything else?
How could I follow that up?
Easily.
How about one competent sentence would do?
Oh.
So
stinky spent grain.
We do have grist. We have some good grist. We have a good little runner about grist in the last episode.
Do they smoke it or
no? It's
worse. Let's just say the pigs didn't show up. Pig farmer didn't show up.
All right, folks. So as a reminder, we're talking to Greg and Jeff Shaffer from the upcoming Brews, Jeff Solomon, Brews Brothers.
You sure it's not that one place connected to the El Dorado in Reno, Nevada?
I mean, I'm not sure, but I
got us.
That it's not. Launching on April 10th. That's today. If you're listening to the podcast on the day it comes out on Netflix. Guys, this sounds like so much fun. The Netflix, the trailer had me bought in immediately. So I can't wait for this to drop tonight. This will be what I am binging over the weekend. Congratulations, two of you. That's awesome that you guys were able to.
Thanks so much.
Season 2. When do we know if you're going to get a season 2?
We're very bullish on a season 2. They can't tell us yet because Netflix doesn't allow that until 30 days after they actually air it. But I think we feel good about it, and I think it's what everybody needs right now. It's like a show where you can actually just sit down, relax, laugh a lot, and by the way, drink while you're watching.
Yes,
we'll turn the whole thing into a drinking game.
Drink alone together. Your praise.
All right. What should we be on the lookout to make it a drinking game? What should be the what tells us to drink?
It's funny, you know.
Let's put it this way. Every time you see their dog drink, you better drink.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple others. Every time you hear Wilhelm speak some bad German, you should drink.
Okay.
You should take at least one drink when you hear Adam bragging about being a cicerone.
No.
There's more. Yeah, there's more.
So, well,
There may be some rules coming out.
One episode.
you're saying don't binge this episode, or you may end up in a hospital.
Yes. We don't want to do that now.
Awesome. That is amazing, guys. Thank you so much. I think that'll do it for the interview question. Unless John or Jeff, you have one more question for the guys.
I'm good. I'm just dorking out over here. Actually, I was just hoping that I could. The only reason why we let you on the show is I really want Lil Dicky's autograph, but
I can arrange that.
Okay, I do. I know I saw Kevin from the league in the trailer. He may have been drinking some of that touched up IPA.
That is correct.
Are there any other guest appearances we can be on the lookout for at Rodman's?
Let's see. Well, Flula Borg makes a very strong appearance. There are a few others. We didn't even mention Marcus Ray, who plays Chewie on the show. Who, if you watch this season of Curb, he also was the when they went down to Mexico, he was the hotel clerk that Larry got into big fights with. Just so brilliant improviser. And I would also take a very special look for Toby Huss, who, when you may not know him, but when you see him, you'll probably recognize him, who plays a homeless guy who takes advantage of a lot of their very poorly planned out promotional signage.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Greg and Jeff, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's fun. Super fun.
That's it for the interview portion. We've run super long on the interview, as we knew we would. So I think if I see the dragon dildo thrown out on the bar, it must be. Last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we'll do here, folks? We're looking for a little bit of help from you. Follow us on social medias. We're on Twitter and Twitter at We Like Drinking 1. That's the number one. We're on Instagram and Facebook at We Like Drinking. And if you want to join our private Facebook group known as The Tavern, you can find that at welikedrinking.com/tavern. Greg, where can the folks find you outside of Netflix? Is there any other place that the folks should be looking for you on the interwebs?
On the interwebs, I would say at the moment, there may be a Twitter feed, Rodman's Brewing. Rodman's Brewing should be live right about now. But you can check out at least a part of me tweeting away about the show.
And are either of you on social media at all?
No. We're voyeurs.
You're smart people.
Not even. I realized I didn't care enough about what other people thought about what I was eating.
That's our whole business plan, dude.
I'm aware. You guys got it covered. You don't need me.
Jeff Solomon, if the folks want to tell us what they think about the show, where can they do so?
Well, if it's positive, feel free to take a look at your phone for once in your life, poke your finger around a little bit, find the empty 5 stars, fill it up, leave a comment, letting us know specifically how much you enjoyed this episode and why. And if you didn't like it, I don't give a shit. Give us 1 star. What are you gonna do? I don't care about you. Fuck off.
Always the politician on the show.
Should they just stop listening to Joe then, or what, Solomon?
I mean, they listened this long. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I already fucked your life up.
You guys have a lot of hour-long hate listeners?
Apparently.
John Ruyak, if the folks have done all that and they just want to do more, what can they do to help the show?
So, folks, these are somewhat difficult times, but if you can find it in your heart and in your pocketbook, visit welikedrinking.com/pledge and find out more about becoming a patron of the show and helping us keep the lights on and getting guacamole recipes and coffee mugs and t-shirts and all the cool stuff that we let patrons have if you throw a little schmack our way.
Such passion out of you when you do this bit. You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episodes. All right, folks, obviously, you know what you got to do, and we know what we got to do, but we've reached the time of the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
I'm famous for keeping an aging beer in my garage here in Albuquerque because perfect beer aging temperature is somewhere around 125 degrees.
Absolutely.
I think I just heard a 4-pack of Robin's quads blow up in the garage.
It's possible. Jeff Solomon.
Hey man, I have to say, like, real time, I just followed Rodman's Brewing. They really need some help on Twitter right now. I'm follower number 16, so let's push it up to 20. Can we do this?
It's beta right now.
Greg, any final thoughts?
Yeah. How do you go this long and drink beer in a podcast without peeing?
You've managed
Like, we're not.
Oh, okay, good.
I know, especially now since the Depends aisle is pretty empty at the grocery store.
Sure.
I had to drive some dog food up to my mother-in-law in San Jose, and you can't stop anywhere to pee. That's the worst part about COVID-19 is they're taking away my pee breaks at Target.
The worst part.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the worst part is
Everything else I can deal with.
Yeah. Jeff Shaffer, any final thoughts?
Jeff Solomon spent all podcast pitching me ideas, and then, as usual, the one good one he didn't even know he had. Yes, I want to watch a show about you driving dog food to your mother's and not being able to feed. That's what we want. That's
specific. Yeah.
That's what these times demand.
Yeah. Relatable.
Yeah.
We'll talk. I'll have my people call your people.
Right. I have a very small feeling that your people is you.
My people is my 6-year-old. Good luck.
Oh shit, Parker! You don't want to have to negotiate with him.
Yeah.
He drives a hard bargain, man. He just learned Monopoly. We're all fucked.
Guys, this was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Absolutely. And Greg and Jeff, I mean, thank you. I know how busy you guys must be. Thank you so much for taking time out to join our little ragtag show here. We had a lot of fun getting to know you. We love the stuff you've produced in the past, and I'm sure we're going to love this. Brews Brothers launching Friday, April 10th on Netflix. Be sure to check it out, everybody. But thank you guys so much for joining us. And we wish you nothing but success in everything you continue to do. And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast.
Where you
A lot of hairy hands. You're right.
That was a lot of hairy.
I need some moisturizer, guys. Think about that.
I don't know what you're going to do after this camera's shut off, Jeff.
What's that?
I don't care what you're going to do after the show shuts off.
No, this isn't like wiener talk. This is actual like knuckle talk.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
This shit's fucked.
Knuckle talk.
I
Knuckle
love
talk
you,
is like
man.
a euphemism, but it sounds worse than whatever you were describing.
All right. Folks on the live stream, thank you guys so much for joining on YouTube. Holy cow. Solomon, you are the worst follower of the chat in YouTube ever, dude.
Cody's the only one that matters in the chat. The rest of them come fuck off. So
Kristen's in there. Shut up.
Oh, hi, Kristen. I love you. Sorry, I missed that.
All right. Talk to
I
you
only
all
see one line at a time.
next week.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Take care.